Recording in progress.
Okay. Forgot how long it takes to get ready in the morning. We're live on YouTube.
So good morning, guys. So we'll wait for another 5 more minutes for which allows a lot of other students and participants to come join us. Once we have everyone on board, we'll get started. So you always have the chat window. If you want to send us some message or anything, just put it in the chat and we'll be monitoring it. And we'll keep you guys posted. We'll start at sharp 11:05. Thank you. Hi guys, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. We have not yet started the presentation. I see a couple of messages not able to hear. We have not yet started the presentation. Please allow us another a minute so we'll get started. Do we have all the panelists on board here?
Yes,
Hi Bhargav.
yes, I'm here.
Hi Deepthi.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, we'll just start in a minute, I think.
Yes.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope first everybody is doing okay in today's times. And we're glad that you're on board with us today. So just to give you a little bit about what we're doing, at Bangalore School of Design, we sort of during this whole event, we decided to make the best of this whole online situation and came up with this design dialogue series. We thought it would give students of design or practicing designers or anybody who's interested for that matter, a chance to talk to different people from across the country, across the world, and just start a conversation on ideas about design. So that was the whole idea behind starting this series. And coming to today's talk, we are doing the design dialogue on Instagram for the interior designer. And hi, I'm Dipti Dineshwar from Bangalore School of Design, and I'll be moderating for the day. And our speaker is Bhargav Katta, who is a practicing architect from Bangalore. But before we design, I would like to just tell you guys a little bit about us. We are a design-oriented college. We're affiliated to Bangalore North University and also an academic partnership with College de Paris École Conte. And we provide design courses, elite design courses like interior design, interior architecture, graphic design, strategy, brand strategy, UI, UX design, landscape, furniture, structural design. So these are the courses that we offer. And I have a couple of videos to show you guys the campus life at Bangalore School of Design and our campus tour. So there are a couple of short videos. So that was our campus tour, and I'm sure for those who are here from BST are nostalgic and waiting to go back to the campus. Let's hope that happens soon. Here's another short clip about what else happens at BST. So thanks for sitting through that. And coming back to today's talk, we'll be having a presentation. We'll be having a couple of discussions amongst the speaker and myself. And at the end of the session, we'll open it out for discussions and for any questions and queries. And we'll have a Q&A session at the second half of today's talk. So yeah, I hope you're all excited for this session, and thanks for joining us again. Also do check our website because we have a few more of these design dialogues coming up. So do register for the ones that you guys are interested for. And yeah, I would like to hand over the platform to our speaker today.
Yeah, thank you, Dipti. Just confirm. I'm just going to share my screen. If you can confirm, you can see. Just 1 minute. Yeah, you can see my screen, right? I mean, it's a blank screen,
Yes.
but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Every year, I have a friend who tries something new. And what's important is that she doesn't do it because she likes it, because she feels like she can learn something. She can put herself out of the comfort zone and she can take back, irrespective of whether she likes it at the end of it or like whether you're learning it, and she still likes to do it. This year, she decided to do surfing, and she went on to surf at this place called Mulki in Karnataka. And she realized that one of the most important things about surfing is timing. If you do it right, if you get the timing right, then you can feel that wave push you. You can feel that wave further, and you can feel yourself move forward. But if you don't likely get that right, you're mostly going to end up like this book. You're mostly going to end up inside the water, mostly going to end up feeling the salt in the water. And if you manage to get your head up, then you'll end up feeling this. But luckily, here I'm not here to talk to you about surfing. I'm here to talk to you about social media and something more specific. As you all know, it's Instagram. And Instagram has been in our lives for the past 15 years, or rather, it has been established 15 years ago. And you can see the amount that it has impacted. You need not take my word for it, but I can give you another example where during the COVID second wave, over the past 1 month, when people required plasma, people required remdesivir, people required blood, I think one of the biggest platforms that we all resorted to was Instagram. And we felt like connections were made. I could, if me being in Bangalore, would reach out to somebody in Delhi. If I had relatives in Delhi, I could give them some sort of any kind of connection through Instagram. And that is the power of connection. And that is the power that Instagram can give you today. And hence, I do not want to talk to you about just Instagram. I want to talk to you about the secret behind it, the power, and the power of connection, most important. My name is Bhargav, and I'm a practicing architect in Bangalore, and I have established my own practice. And yes, I'm here to talk to you about Instagram.
That was really an interesting anecdote. Looking forward to what you're going to talk about. Looking forward to your talk. But before we jump into it, I thought we could rewind a little bit and get to know you better. So yeah, like you said, you're a practicing architect now. But what actually sort of started your architecture journey? Where did your architecture journey begin?
That's a good question. I do not want to say where I studied or college. I mean, of course, I studied in BMS and I'm indebted to BMS Yelahanka. But my journey actually began when I wanted to try out something new. And when I pushed myself beyond academics, when I tried to take part in competitions, I think in college I had the chance to take part in a competition, and that kind of opened my eyes about the power of design and what design can do. And I think if there are students here today, I would urge them to take part in extracurriculars apart from academics and push yourself beyond just academics, because that really gives you a glimpse of what the design fraternity what you experience. And I think that's the most important. I always would want all students to take part in multiple competitions, irrespective of whether it's being hosted in Bangalore or not. It'll teach you something, and I think that's what has encouraged me to do what I'm doing today and to push me this far.
That's great. That's great. So after college, where did you work? How long did you work for? What was your journey like?
As an architect, you're supposed to intern for a year as per our schedule. So I went on to intern in Ahmedabad in the studio called Sangat, the head architect being B.V. Doshi. I worked there for a year, worked on multiple scales and multiple scale of projects. I worked on the IIM, I worked on the Flame University, and I worked on residences. And I kind of got a glimpse of what the architecture world in that large sense was. And that was the first step that I took on. After that, I went on to work at Rahul Mehrotra in Bombay, where again, I was exposed to a lot of multiple scales of work. But somewhere in this journey, during this journey, I realized that I was working on someone else's dream come true. And I said, I mean, all of this is well and good. Contrary to popular belief, they say that you go on, get some experience and do that. You kind of learn what they kind of impart to you, and then you use that in your practice. But then I said, like I always like a challenge. So I said, I'm going to start working on my own dreams coming true. And I'm going to start taking on challenges every year, like my friend. I want to use that to push myself out of my comfort zone and understand what I can learn and figure it out through the way. So, and that's why
what led you to start your role?
Yeah, and that's why I began to say I wanted to explore the option of doing my own practice. And after which I said and then I realized when I was doing my own practice, one of the biggest things is you need to gain connections. And another big thing is you need to gain trust. Not everybody trusts you because you're a newbie and you don't nearly get as many opportunities as other people do. So I said, and that's when Instagram popped up, because okay, hey, I am somebody who's in the younger generation who has the ability to make the most use of Instagram. And that's when I said that I want to use this as a tool to get more connections.
Awesome. So I guess that led you to Instagram and sort of helped you build your start off on your own.
Yes.
Great. So I'll let you sort of start off. And
Thank you. I would like to draw your attention to something that you see on the screen. It's a phrase that says you remember what you see. Now, if I am likely to give you a series of images, and if I ask you to remember the details, you are more likely to remember the details when you see them as opposed to listening or reading about them. So that's the power that a visual media can do for you. And now this may be true for any sort of social media. It can be Pinterest, it can be LinkedIn, it can be Facebook, Twitter, anything. But what is it that makes Instagram so unique? That I'll be telling you throughout the talk. I promise you, I will not bore you with a lot of information. I'll try to get in a lot of stories here and to use analogies. And I hope this is not a talk where you're bored and you're forced to leave. So everybody likes something that's more picturesque, and you like to see something more well organized, well curated, and well done, right? So I think one of the biggest reasons why Instagram is such a big platform is that it's photo-centric. Now it keeps the photos and the videos in the center, and the entire platform is built around it. So now this may be true for a website. So I can use a website to talk about my work, but there's something about Instagram that makes it unique. There's something about what you want people to see. I can put up a website and say, hey, you can look up my work. You can see this is the kind of work that I have. But there's something else about it. I'll tell you about in the next post. This is a very interesting feature that I would like to. Most of you might know about this, but I want to tell you the secret behind it. On the left side that you see is an image of a post with I can just point out to you that it reached 218 people. The number of likes received were just 24. The number of profile visits were 4. And the number of people that this post was sent to was 2. And it was saved by 1 person. But on the contrary, if you look on the right, the same post was done on 2 consecutive days on the same time, but with different content. So then I said, I want to put out something humorous. I want to put out something that people can laugh about during these tough times. So if you can see the exact same thing, there are about 217 people, but the number of likes that I've received were 55, but number of profile visits were 13. And this was sent to 8 other people. And this was commented by 2 people, and it was saved by 1. Now, why is it that I'm telling you this? This is everybody knows. You need to understand that, okay, you put up a post, you can do your insights. Insights is what Instagram calls it. And you get to understand how much your target audience is reaching. Now, there's another unique feature where you're saying Instagram lets you choose a goal. Now, the goal can be whether you want more profile visits, something more specific, whether you want more website visits or whether you want more messages to come. Now, this a website doesn't do for you. You do not get the chance to do this on a website. You can even choose your target audience. You can choose who you want to target, whether the age group, whether there are a set of designers, there are fashion bloggers, there are normal bloggers, whatever it is. But there's also something that's important is everything at the end of the day comes at a cost of money. So as a practice, I use this nominal amount of fee, and I say that as a part of my practice, I set out this much money. This may be for a period of 6 days, but in the long run, I'm looking at it something in the long term. In the long run, it kind of gives me a reach to up to 3,400 people. Now, this is something that no website can do or no other platform can do. So again, you must be wondering, why am I boring you with so much information about Instagram? And this is all something that you know. I can give you like this. You can just go read up. But there's something else that's why am I telling you about all this? So again, as you know, Instagram has a lot of influencers. the influencers on Instagram is it's ending. It's unending. So what you can say is there are a few set of people who use Instagram to benefit themselves. Who I'm not talking about like Donald Trump or Jay-Z who want to get like a lot of attention, and they do like things to kind of grab an attention just because they are being in display. But I want to talk to you about one particular influencer pertaining to interior design. She has done something that no other designer in our country was able to achieve. And there are a few secrets about her that I would like to give you in this talk. There are a few insights about her that I can explain to you why she's achieved so much. And she's an interior designer. She's gotten the chance to take over like a 120-year-old legacy. And there are multiple designers like this, but this is particular. I want to bring out to you this one particular designer who talks about her work, her life, her story, and not just that. I don't just want to tell you about her. I want to tell you the secrets behind her success and the number of followers that she has. Her name is Sarah. She is the principal architect at Visagie Atelier. Like I said, she's taken over a 120-year-old legacy of her design firm and her forefathers. But there's something about her that causes her to get 123,000 followers. That is the number, that is the power that she has to kind of engage that many people. But think about this. Now, the number of people in this, I think there are around, so the number of people, around 32 people in this webinar. At the end of today, she would have had twice the number of people in this webinar. And that is the number of outreach that she can on a daily basis. Now imagine she's getting out 60 people to get the attention of her work, to get the attention of what she does, and to not just do that, but also respect them. So that's what she does. And that's something that no other influencer can do. Now that's the difference between her and Jay-Z or Donald Trump. Now, Jay-Z or Donald Trump or any other influencer puts up themselves on a pedestal and expects their followers to look up to them. They want attention. They do a lot of things to get attention. And a lot of internet today is filled with a lot of humor, a lot of unnecessary humor, a lot of whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you can know that they are putting themselves on a pedestal and they want the rest of them to look up to them. But what Sarah does is something so profound that you wouldn't have expected. She does something the other way. She does put her followers up on the pedestal and she looks up to them. Now that just is a vague statement. You might be like, okay, I don't understand how you must have even thought about this or gotten this. Think about this. It's a very interesting statement. Think about this. Nobody follows you because of who you are. People follow you because of who they are. I'm going to repeat that. People follow you because of not who you are. People follow you because of who they are. Now you must be wondering what that means. So at some point you want to see their content. And the reason why you want to see their content is there's something about them. There's something about what they make you feel. At the end of the day, what it boils down to is the fact that it's not about you and it's about them. I think Sarah does this specifically really right. She always uses her audience. She always, apart from talking about her work, she's doing other things about not just drawing people to her life or her, not just drawing attention. She's trying to give out things for them or their followers. So now if you actually think about it, because it's not about you, you're going to say the biggest obstacle for you is actually you. Now, the biggest obstacle is because it's not about you. Now, none of this is about you. Now, you're always going to make things about you, your page, your work. It's not necessary that you do just that. you also have to bring in other people who have to put themselves on that pedestal. You have to look up to them. And you don't have to do this out of compulsion. You have to do this because you know for a fact that you want to build that following. Now, there's another very rudimentary principle that she follows as a very basic uh, set of principles. She does three things, just three very important things. And that is something that I've shown to you in these emoticons. The first one is thanks. She says thanks she just says thanks to people for the type of work that they're doing, or highlights the work that they're doing. And by doing that, you're focusing on that one person. Remember, it's not about you, it's about them. The next thing is praise. Now, when you're praising somebody, you're actually going to recognize someone. You're recognizing their work. You're saying, hey, you're doing amazing work. You're doing exceptional work. And I would love to interact with you and understand what makes you do this and why are you doing this. And again, it comes back to it's not about you, it's about them. The last is generosity. And this again means like giving, generosity. And giving again, drawing back to social media and Instagram, you can give content, you can give connections, you can give ideas, you can give thoughts, you can give anything that you take in, but you're giving that out. And that again comes back to it's not about you, it's about them. So remember these three things when you're focusing on your page. And I'll tell you how you can do this. I'll tell you how you can do each of these. And before which, I'd like to tell you a tale of the two seas. So this is an interesting story. It's about the Sea of Galilee. And so the Sea of Galilee is full of life. There's a lot of vegetation, there's fish, there's clear water, there's a lot of flora and fauna, and it's a sea full of life. While on the other hand, there's the Dead Sea. It feels like a lifeless body of water. What's interesting about both these rivers, both these seas, is that they are fed by the same river, which is the Jordan River. Now, why is it that the Sea of Galilee has so much life? Because it's taking in the water from the Jordan River. It's taking in. And it's not just taking in, but also letting go of that water away. While what happens in the Dead Sea is it's only taking. Now you can see that if you're always you're bombarding yourself with information by following people, getting a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts, and all of that you're getting, and you're projecting out that to somebody, you're projecting out on your Instagram, projecting that out into your IGTV, on your Reels, whatever it is. And you can see that everything that you're taking in, you're projecting that out and you're giving it. And that's when you feel like you're full of life. But if you're only somebody who's taking in, then you actually can imagine what you could feel like. I'm not saying you'd feel like the Dead Sea, but you might not feel great because you're only taking in. What are you doing with that information? How are you imparting that? Are you giving that out to people? So that's the most important thing that Sarah does. Now, the best way to learn about anybody's work is to study them or just talk to them. I haven't gotten the chance to talk to Sarah yet. I would love to one day, but I've taken a lot of time and effort to study about the kind of work that she does and why is it that 124,000 followers is what is in her phone. What is it that you and I have the same tools as her. We have access to the same material. We have access to the same set of we have access to everything that she has. Why is it that she is up there? Why is it that she has so many followers? Now again, this is something so profound that whenever she talks to people, she doesn't call them people or followers. She addresses them as a community. And she calls them a community by drawing their sense of trust. By now, for example, she says, "Hey, I need a couple of ideas." She just puts out a post saying, "I need ideas. Any thoughts on the concept of, say, designing a room is what I need." And somebody just sends her a message saying, "You can talk about uh, the idea for you to design this room can be behind contrasting colors, or it can be behind making one material being so bold, or something. I'm just shooting an example out of my head. Now, when she does that, she has taken in an idea, and now what she's going to do with that is use that thoughts, use that content, and how she converts that into design, and she projects that out into through a reel or an IG. Now, why does she like how is this benefiting her community? Now, and after this, she just puts a post saying, "Thank you, so and so. This is the idea behind it. So the idea behind this was so and so." And that just glues the entire community that she's kind of gained. So before going to community, I want to like talk to you about how she gets this community. Now, if you see her Instagram page, she has a set of highlights. Highlights is what Instagram calls these. She has a set of contacts, for example, because a lot as a newbie, a lot of people you want to go out there, you want to get in more connections, you want to see more people. Now she does something very interesting. She puts out contacts of people on her post because she's not just, and it's because of all the vendors that she's worked with, for example. She's putting that the contacts of them, of course, with their knowledge. She's putting contacts of them, asking them that say, "Hey, I'm going to put out your content. I'm going to put out your contact. Can I do that on my page?" And then she posts contacts of, say, vendors or nurseries. Nurseries for interior design plays such a big role. No one gives you access to such things. Furniture. Furniture is one of the biggest roles that interior design plays, or even sustainability, products, whatever it is. That the minute you get into her page, you'll understand that she is projecting all that she has taken in, like the Sea of Galilee, onto the world. And she's saying that, "Hey, you have free access to this," and that's it. So now she's being generous. That's one of the biggest things that draws people, and that's what glues her community together. Now, while I'm saying about communities, I want to just quickly bore you with one graph. I want to show you about one graph that talks about communities in example. This is a basic graph. As you can see, there are a set of innovators or early adopters. There's a set of early majority, late majority, and the laggards. Now, what does this mean? Like, why am I talking to you about innovators or whatever it is? Now, think about, you're going to a restaurant in Indranagar. You are likely to make a choice between two restaurants. You have to. There's one option where you go with good food. You have really good food at both restaurants, but one restaurant is really like filled and it's almost filling, but you still have a chance to get a seat. While the other restaurant is more, it's not as filled as the previous one. So you're more likely. It's human tendency that you're more likely to go to the first one. You're more likely to go to the first restaurant where there are more people, it's full of life, and there's a lot of things happening in there, and you want to eat, and that's why you enjoy. Now, what I'm telling you again is something that you might know, but I want to draw this back to social media and say I said that it's not about you and it's about them, right? You are actually not following that person. And since this is a community, you're not following that person for their work. You're not following Sarah for her work, but you're actually following the group behind you. Now she happened to be an innovator. She happened to be an early adopter. She adopted to things that Instagram threw at her, and then the early majority joined it, and then the late majority joined in because they wanted to feel like they were a part of that community. They wanted to feel like they are around a lot of people. They wanted to feel like they are at that busy restaurant. And then comes the laggards at the end of it because you don't have a choice because everybody is doing this, so I want to. So now this is the exact same thing that social media has done. I'll quickly tell you about the graph for Facebook, for example. Now, this graph for Facebook is a very similar graph as the previous one. Now, the early adopters came in, or the innovators came in the year 2008, 2009. And that's when Facebook shot up. It kind of shot up so high. Everybody was bound to, like, everybody in your house rather would have a Facebook account. But then over a period of time, it went low. The first wave was over. And that first wave kind of went out and then it came back down. Now, what you can see is that if you happen to join in the lager stage or the late majority, you are less likely to make an impact. So now that community can be built over Instagram because Instagram is very smart because every year Instagram updates its algorithm, introduces something new, makes the user exciting, makes anything exciting about it. And if you can see the graph for Instagram, it began in 2010 and it shot up all the way. This is where the early adopters, 2016, and even today there are a lot of innovators, but that's because the algorithm changed. As of 2017, there are 700 million people on Instagram. As of today, there are 1 billion people on Instagram. That's 1,000 million. Now think about the number of people you can reach out to on Instagram. And it's important and this is the right time for us to go out there and be a part of those innovators and early adopters, because before it goes out to that early majority, and then you move out into the late majority, and then you move out into laggards. Now, do you see why it's important you catch that wave at the right exact moment? Now, when that wave comes to you, you choose that wave, you get your timing right, and once you do that and get the right balance in surfing, you can feel that wave push you and move forward. But if you do not get your timing right, if you happen to choose to get your social media handle at the right time, and right now I would say that Instagram is the perfect, the first wave is kind of shooting up and it's likely to go higher because every year Instagram updates itself as opposed to as much as Facebook does. So if you do not get that, you're likely to fall off and likely to drown. So that is where I would like to leave you at the end of this session. And not the end of this session, I'm here to bore you more. But before which I don't want to just keep giving you information. I want to take a couple of questions from the moderator. She said she had a couple of interesting questions. So I'm going to give the mic back to her and she can take it.
Yeah, thank you, Raghav. I think that was a really different outlook that you sort of gave us on Instagram and what it can be and what it can do. I think we're all just used to, waking up and scrolling through it, and that's all Instagram is for us. But that was a really different outlook into what it can actually do. But now coming to talking about building like an Instagram page for a designer, an interior designer. How much, and as a designer, I'm sure each of us have our own aesthetic, and we have things we like and don't like and stuff like that. So how much do you think that a designer's Instagram page and interior designer's Instagram page should sort of reflect their personal aesthetic or their design sense?
I think that's a very valid question. A lot of people tend to do things in multiple phases. Like I say, I'm going to design a website right now. I'm just going to go with that. And then I'm going to design my Instagram feed and just going to go with that. But what's important is that it has to all tie together. When you are working on your page or your website or your graphic sense of design or your interior sense of design, all of them have to tie together. And it's important you unify them. And to answer your question, that's the most important. You tend to lose out on these small details. You can incorporate small details from your page to your website, from your website to your graphic sense of design, from your graphic sense of design to your interior. Now, yeah, all of them are interconnected, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, awesome. And I think, of course, like when you put out your work there, you sort of end up showcasing yourself and
Yes.
your design sense.
Yeah.
So on the same lines, like a follow-up question. So when you're working on this, like you said, whether it's your website or whether it's the graphic that you're creating for your website or your Instagram feed, how do you find a balance between, designing the website and designing your Instagram page rather against showcasing your work, like showcasing your interior work, your projects and stuff like that? Like, do you find a balance between the two? Do you like overlap them? How do you think we should go
Yeah.
about that?
That's a challenge actually these days because you have to constantly get your timing right to catch on to that wave of trend. Every day there's a new trend. Every day there's something that kind of comes up. And because I'm talking about gaining attention and kind of talking to people, I think it's important you get like how I want to split my outreach is to like if you see Instagram has three horizontal tiles. Hello.
I think you're breaking up a little bit. If you can hear me.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Bhargav, we can hear you well. No worries.
Yeah, Dipti, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
I think you're back. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So as I was saying, Instagram has three horizontal tiles uh, that you can post, and that's clearly visible. So how I want to do it is split it in one of them. One third of that is kind of catering to a trend or talking about something humorous because I want to kind of bring in the the fact that everybody likes humor. Everybody likes the fact that they want to read something funny or there's a pun or anything of that sort. So I want to bring that into the sense of my aesthetic at the same time, and obviously couple that post with not just a pun. You have to relate that fun or something humorous with a post of your interior design, and the other two are is the fact that you do what the work that you what design that you do. So now kind of drawing attention to one third and two third, you're not losing out on that one tile. You're in fact gaining on that one tile because you want that attention, you want to be funny, you want to be draw attention. And the other two you're anyway doing, you're anyway imparting to the viewer. You're saying that hey, this is my aesthetic, and if you really think that you kind of align with this, then you can come to me. So yeah, that's the type of balance that I aim to achieve over a long period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a fine line between
Yeah.
where you want to push your content and what exactly you want to show
Yeah.
and creating a balance for it. All right. I think I'll let you continue with
Yeah.
what
Thank
we
you.
can do on Instagram.
again I again I'm just going to sound like a primary teacher and say, oh, this is the basic and this is what you have to do and things like that. This is again this is also one thing that I, after studying Sarah's work, she does this it's a very basic thing that she follows, and I'll show you how she follows that as well. Yeah. Now, when you have an Instagram page, there's something that you have to give to the audience. You have to give them some value. Now, this value means like a whole huge term. Like it means so much that what does value mean? Like everybody says, oh, give out value, have good values, it's not right to have bad values and things like that. What does value mean for pertaining to Instagram? Now, it can be something as simple as colors, textures, and material because that's what design revolves around, or it can be the value of realistic photographs, your art of kind of curating a well organized frame and projecting that out into the internet, or a trend. You want to keep up with the trend, you want to catch on to that wave, and you want to get your timing right. So these are the ways that Sarah she gives out value, and hence she has that 124,000 followers. Now, something even more specific to what's important when you're posting is you get the aspect ratio of your image right. Now, these are the three types of aspect ratios that you need to get when you. I'm not going to go into the details, but these are the types of aspect ratios that you need to put out into your page so that it looks organized. It can be even beyond this, but you make it a point to kind of focus on that same language. And again, going back to your aesthetic, what is your aesthetic? Do you want to focus on doing posts in like alternate manner? Do you want to say, I want to do a dark white? Again, the aspect ratio is crucial. Or do you want to do like a zigzag pattern? Like here, if you see, she's done something really interesting where she wants the color of blue. She's talked about the color of blue, and that blue kind of ties her whole thing at a pattern. Or she talks about just food related items on a zigzag pattern. So do you want to do that, or do you want to just stick to how bold you have, like bold colors, you have something minimal, and you have really interesting pictures, something funky? Now, how you organize this is also required for you to understand. And this also Sarah does. She doesn't do this very evidently. She does the fact that all of them are subtly done on her page. You can go and check her out. I'm giving her free marketing today. I hope she gets more followers. So yeah, another thing that she's caught on to is the stories and reels fact. Now, stories every day is something that you just log into and log out. You want to do this quickly, right? You just want to get onto it and you want to see some. And reels, I'm telling you, all the innovators at this talk, reels is what is going to come in the next 6 months to 1 year. So it's important you catch that wave. It's important you tag on to the fact that you get. And Instagram's algorithm also pushes you much higher when the minute you start using. So I think it's very important you catch on to this trend, and for the next 1 year, use this to kind of gain more followers. Yeah, if you can see, this is just a snippet of her page. This is something that she does. She just doesn't talk about her work. She's not just talking about her work. She also is talking about her actual personal story. Now here, she also talks about, like, say, for example, she's talking about an IGTV here. She's talking about a reel here. She's talking about some story about her life. And she's not just giving people information, she's also giving them value. Now, the value here is that she's catching on to the trend of reels. She's giving out the fact that how she has designed the space. Now, this, for example, is a reel of a walkthrough of a house that she's designed. Now, she takes you around the whole house. She explains to you where she's bought and what, what vendor she's worked with. So now she's again projecting that out into people, and obviously people are engaged because they are taking that value of being there and saying, hey, I'm watching this video and I'm getting the value of that vendor. I'm getting the value of the brand of that furniture. I'm getting multiple things, and that's why I want to watch. Now, there are another set of images that you can, like, where things might go up. Like, for example, if you take the aspect ratio for these images, they're kind of like random. They don't add up. So, and precisely, don't just take my word for it, but I can give you the fact that the number of followers for a page that does this would be lesser, would be even half as much as the number of followers that Sarah has. So the attention to detail is really important in your page as much as what Sarah has done. Or it need not, so even if you see there is some sort of aesthetic that ties her whole, she's everything that kind of comes together as a page, comes together as her aesthetic and the value that she's giving.
I think those were some really inspiring examples of what you can put up and how you can sort of build your. And personally, I think my biggest takeaway from what you spoke about was the giving back topic and the value of your content. Like I think we are so used to saying, okay, I'm putting this up, I've done this, I've done
Yeah.
that. But it makes so much sense to say that, when you're giving back something, people want to sort of listen to you and so engage further with you. Yeah, that was something that was really inspiring, actually. Coming to a couple of more questions. Earlier, I think we sort of just brushed upon it. You spoke about trends. Of course, Instagram and trends and reels, and I mean, all these, the latest trend is so synonymous to Instagram. So, what is your take on trends, or like, what do you have to say about it with respect to putting up a page or building your feed?
Yeah, I think like I've said, I think it's important to catch on to that, but it's again very important to not force fit it. You don't do it because you want to just seem like you're a part of the trend. You have to be smart about it. Don't force fit it, because that will make you look like not so professional, and it doesn't seem that right. So while you're on that topic, I want to give you just a small example of how you can catch on to the actual trend. Instagram now has the stay-at-home sticker, because it's urging everyone to stay at home and be at home, and just wants people to stay safe, because that's the next thing that everyone has to focus on, because at the end of the day, it's your life. So, and what Instagram does is Instagram puts this people who use this sticker, pushes the algorithm all the way up front, so that you have a wider outreach. Now, since everybody's talking about working from home and their study desk and the kind of work that they do, what something very small that you can do is just take a picture of your work desk. Just take a picture of a desk that you've designed, an area of study or an area of work that you've designed. Put that stay-at-home sticker and talk about, say, details. Give them value about details of that. Now, say, for example, in this photo, I'm telling them about, okay, I got this furniture at IKEA. I got this at so and so, and I think you can buy that as well. And it's working really well because of how sleek it is. Or I'm talking about like a lantern or a shade or any sort of a lamp that's there at your study desk. Or I'm telling you about where I bought it, and probably at what height I place it. Because at the end of the day, it's anthropometry, and all of these matter. So, and how are you giving them value through that? So now, if you see that stay-at-home sticker and what you're talking about, both of them combine. But what you don't understand is that you, as a user, your Instagram pushes your algorithm, and you go all the way higher, and you reach a wider audience. Now you do this every day, or on a weekly basis, or even a monthly basis, you do this the right way. That pushes your users to kind of want you to. That pushes your users to understand. Say, hey, this guy is doing something unique. He's a part of the early innovators and adopters. So I want to be a part of this fraternity. I want to be in this community, and that's when people begin to join. And other very
Yeah, sorry. Um, Trying to put the trend or whatever is the trending aspect into your personal style and what you're trying to show about is what you were trying to say, right? Yeah. You continue, sorry.
No, that's fine. So another very interesting basic that I think is important is you don't put out a lot of content in one day. Nobody leaks. Like, I hope I have not given you that much content today that today you just want to swipe away from my talk. I hope that you have that many amount of content to just about engage. Now, for example, when you post a story on top, you can see the number of stories that are in line with that person who's going to post. Now, the minute I see that, it's an absolute turn off. I'm just going to swipe right and then going to move on to the next. It's important to space your stories. Another interesting fact I want to give you is that every time you post a story, Instagram only reaches 30% of your followers. Now, popular to contrary belief, you just say that and put a story in the beginning of the day, and by the end of the day, it's going to reach out like as many followers as I have. Now, Instagram's algorithm as of 2021 and 2020 and 2021 works like is that it reaches only 30% of your followers. So it's important you stagger them. So so every time you put a story, you can see that that person has posted, right? And you tend to click it. So now the minute you stagger them at 3, it begins at 3 and it goes down the stack. And then you come back at 6, then you come back front. Then you reach the next, say 20%. And then you go further down in the next 3 hours and then again you come back. So if you see that, you are constantly engaging your user to give out the content. And now don't do this every day. Don't identify a time that works for you. Now, if you do this every day, it tends to get boring. Now identify a time that works best for you. Again, that's through trial and error. Work on work on things that you feel like is at the right time. Like as an architect, you would say that I want to post at say 9 p.m. because I feel like everyone's done with work by then and everyone wants just a relaxing thing and they just are on Instagram to see anything that they want. So, and then I say I'd post at 9. And then I come back to reviewing that. That's very important. You go back to your insights, and that's what the power of Instagram does. And now this a website will not give. So you come back to review it. You do 2 consecutive pages and say, hey, now I'm posting at 9 and I posted a photo and then I posted a reel and you see the insights for both and you see what's working best. And then you say, hey, 9 p.m. reels work best for me. So I'm going to stick to that for the next 6 months. And be consistent. I think that's one of the most important. Another important thing, a basic thing that Sarah does is she identifies pages that have the same target audience, who have upcoming work, who do good work, who share their works, and she projects that out into people, and that is another interesting. Now she's talking about praise, and now she's talking about thank you. Now she's putting out this content and praising that person and say, hey, this person's doing amazing work, so go follow. And now she's beginning to get the next step of her. She's doing those 3 things. It's not about you, it's about them. Yeah, 1 second. Can you see my screen, Dipti?
I can see the one with the 2 posts.
Yeah, 1 second, because I feel I am not able to see what you guys are seeing. Yeah, can you see them now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to change it to full screen. I'm sorry, guys, 1 second. Yeah. Yeah, so what she does is identifies pages of designers where she has, again, talk about the same and ask them for an IGTV or a talk. And now what they do is they will share the fact that, hey, Sarah has chosen my work and she's kind of appreciating me, and they will repost that onto their story. Now, what Sarah is doing is not just reaching out to her followers, she's also reaching out to the page or the designer that she's identified and thanking and praising. And she's also reaching out to that many number of followers. So, and that was one of the reasons why I said that she's likely to have more number of people at this. By the end of today, she's going to gain more number of people than at this talk. Another thing that she does, like I've shown you, is identify vendors who have the same target audience. Then she goes out there and showcases their product. Now she says, hey, this is the content that's out there for everybody. Please go ahead and take it. Something very important that most people tend to forget is content. And when you get your content, the way you phrase them, the way it's been shown is very important. Now there's a study that goes that on Instagram, you tend to just skim through. You just tend to scroll because you're constantly scrolling and viewing things. So what happens is when you are going to scroll, your eye moves in the pattern of an F. The first few sentences or the first few part of the story or the photograph, you tend to look in one full manner. You tend to see that entire, like say I'm reading a sentence, that entire sentence you're going to read, and then after that you're just going to quickly skim. So it kind of forms like a decreasing order of the way you read. So that's why it becomes like an F. So what's another thing that's important is, again, according to research, there's the minute you put the first letter and the last letter together and the rest of the letters are jumbled, you're still going to read it. So so this just proves that your mind is able to kind of adapt to that kind of technique. And because you're doing that, you're just going to quickly skim. So it's important to get that F manner. Now, I'll just give you an example of a bad versus a good post. I want to say to the audience that, or my community, that there are 3 things to remember when creating content. You need to be creative, try to be candid, and always provide value. Now, this is one way to say. The other way is that 3 things to remember when creating content: be creative, be candid, and provide value. Now, this is following that F pattern. Now, I'm likely to take half the number of times that I'm going to read this. And I'm also likely to grasp this much quicker and understand your thing much quicker. So it's important. You're giving them value. What is in it for your community to take in that time to understand your value? Again, like I said, consistency is something that is very important. The minute you lose consistent, Instagram realizes your algorithm further moves back, and the less consistent you are, the less number of followers you reach. So identify what works for you, day-wise, time-wise, maybe twice a week, twice a week, once a week, once a day, 3 stories a day, 1 reel a month, whatever it is. And now comes to hashtags. Hashtags is something that nobody talks about. It's the power of hashtags is actually much more than what you actually believe. Now, people tend to look at hashtags much more and much quicker because hashtags points at something specific. And the minute I click on a hashtag, I'll get like people all over the world post something related to that hashtag. And I'm only getting that particular hashtag. So I think it's important you get the right hashtag. Some of the very most famous ones, which will kind of give you a wide audience for Instagram and interior design, is Find It and Style It, Insta Home Decor, and Bedroom Decor. So this is something that a lot of people do. And the minute people tend to click on it, your post is bound to come. So be sure and be mindful of the kind of hashtags you're using. It's very important that you use the right ones. Now you're putting up a picture of like a bed or say a bedroom, and you can't just say that, oh, it's an architecture project, but you're talking about something specific. You're talking about interior design, you're talking about a bedroom. So focus on that thing that you're talking about and use the right hashtag. Now, while I've given you all of this content, I've given you all of this, now something that's very important that you take back is one secret that I want to leave you off with is it's a secret that you might not have known, might not have expected, but it's important you get this. Now, most of this content you would have understood. Hello, Dipti, can you hear me?
Yeah. I think we broke off a little bit, but I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry. So most of the things that I want to leave you with is one secret. just make sure you follow this one secret, and you are likely to get a bigger viewership. Now, that secret might sound familiar, and it might sound like something exciting and fun. The minute you get the right timing, the minute you do that right, you're going to catch that wave. You're going to help that wave push you forward and definitely move forward. So I think it's important you get the right timing, you catch on to the right trend. And once you do that, you can get in as many people as you want, you create that community, you get in as many content, you adapt, to keep up with the trend. And now all of this sounds easy. I know it's challenging. I know it's really difficult because this is like sounds like a full-time job, but it's important you do this as a newbie.
I think
This will take you a long way. Now, I want to just leave you out with two things at the end. I want to just end the talk by saying followers is everything, because be that busy restaurant at Indranagar, and it's okay. And what takes you to be that busy restaurant is because you're giving that quality of food, you're giving that quality of content, and yeah, and content and for the followers that you have is everything. So I would urge you to use these small techniques that I've kind of given you a secret about, and get that timing, be a good surfer, get some good balance, and I think Instagram will push you forward.
all right. Thank you so much for that really power-packed session. There's so much information, so much different information that you shared with us. I think we can open it out to questions now to the attendees.
Sure.
We had one question that came in the middle of the session, which was, what do you think about hashtags? But I think later on through your presentation, you did talk about it, but if there's anything more you want to add?
Yeah, I think you use as many hashtags as you can. You again, like I said, point at one thing that you want. Now, people tend to not use hashtags at some point. People tend to not begin using hashtags. So I think it's very important you focus on the right thing. Like I said, find it, style it, feel it, reel it, and things like that. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Bhargav, we lost you for a second there.
Yeah.
We have another follow-up
Sorry,
question.
I lost connection.
Yeah.
Dipti, do you want to take the questions?
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Yeah, so that was one question that we had in the middle of the session, which was which said, what do you think about hashtags?
Okay.
I know you spoke about it, but
I hope I've answered your question, and use as many hashtags as you want. Instagram doesn't give you, it gives you as many as 30 hashtags. So go ahead and use as many as you can.
All right. Thank you. Also, there was another question from Soumya, who said, what is your Instagram handle? Bhargav, trying to find you on Instagram.
I have just started. Like I said, I'm a newbie. I am trying to keep up with the trend and not try too hard. You can check out my handle on Studio Fivefold. That's the work that's where I do. And I'm like the talk I gave you. I'm adapting to all of that today. It's all of the study that I've done 6 months in advance, and now I'm focusing on how do I get that right. And I'm not that busy restaurant yet. I am still the other restaurant, so I want to be that busy restaurant someday. You can check out my Instagram on Studio Fivefold. I can type that here.
I hope you got that.
I'm just gonna.
Right. We have another question from Paromita.
Yeah.
She said, as a designer, how do you feel about being personally present on your page, like showing your face or making videos and stuff like that?
I think it's important you like Sarah does. You talk about a story and how that ties with your design, with your aesthetic. You can show your face unless you want to just talk about your work. But I think it's okay for you to it's okay. You can go around and talk about your story. How now everybody likes to know your journey. Now, if you have done something and you've achieved something, everybody wants to know how you've done that. So you can go ahead and show people what you think will give them value.
I see a
Okay.
few questions.
There's another question from Nagshri. She says, I have 1.5K followers, but I get 200 likes for my post, even though I follow trends.
She gets 200 likes for her posts. Is that what she's saying?
Even though she has 1.5K followers and she
Okay.
follows trends, she gets only 200 likes
Okay.
for her posts.
There are two ways you go about it. You try to post at it in a different hour. I hope you've tried to post that at a different day or a different hour. Again, it depends on the content you're putting out. If you're putting out photographs, you'd likely want to put it at the end of the day. If you want to put out something humorous, you also likely put up something at the end of the day, because that's when most number of people kind of come in. You either try putting it out in a different time, you try putting it out on a different day, or you try focusing on trends that are not force fitting. Maybe the trends that you're doing is kind of force fitting, or put some effort into your photographs. I think they may, or videos. I think since photographs has reached that top curve, I think videos is catching on. Put some effort into your videos. It doesn't matter if it takes time, but go out there and put some effort into your videos.
Dipti, I see a few questions in the chat. Can I read it out?
Yeah, there are a few questions on the chat.
Yeah.
As a design student, what should be their content? Will the artwork of student is enough for the page?
As a designer student, what will be their content? Will the artwork of a student is enough for their page? Okay, first you need to understand, as a designer student, are you catering to other designer students, or are you just wanting to show out your work? Now, these are two different things. Now, if you want to step out and say that, okay, I feel like I can give my knowledge about art to somebody, break up your art or make a time lapse of the way you do your art and talk about the process that goes about it. So I think as a designer student, your content should be what you do, how do you put yourself, what are the measures that you take to stand out. And because everybody wants to stand out, everybody wants to do something different, what are the ways that you try to adapt to design, to trends, whatever it is. But I think artwork for your page is a good way to start with, and but draw in that value. Now, what are you catering, who are you catering this to? Are you catering to another student? Are you catering to people before you, the majority before you, or are you catering to people who want to see artwork and buy artwork? So understand these three things first, and then I think it'll slowly fall into place. I think there's another question, Dipti, in the chat.
It says, what are the types of people we need to follow on Instagram? Can you give an idea about this?
Yeah. You can, I think to begin with, you can start off following people who do similar work, who do something similar to you, and then give them praise, give them attention, give them generosity, keep out giving content. You start off with people who you follow, and you gain that community within your immediate outreach. And then you move to the next step of, say, over the next, like a larger city. And then you move to, say, the state. And how do you do this is reach out by hashtags. You follow hashtags much more than just pages. And the minute you follow hashtags, you go on to hashtags and you review these hashtags every day. And the minute you catch something the minute something catches your eye, you go on to that page and hit follow. And then you review how they work, how their feed works, how has that entire stretch of feed happened throughout where they have achieved. Another important thing is that you promote yourself after you have some sort of followers. Now you cannot, or some sort of posts that you have. You say you have 15 posts, and or even lesser than that, and then say, hey, go follow my page. Now, the minute you do that, people will visit your page, but see that, okay, you do not have enough content and I don't know what you're giving, what value are you serving? And so I'm going to go back. So I think you follow people immediately in your circle, and then you stop, like I said, you say, identify the same target audience, you get in somebody who's doing the same thing and say, hey, do you want to do an IG live? Now, the minute you do an IG live, you're both talking about it. You're not just reaching your followers, you're reaching the person on the other end of the camera's followers as well. So yeah, you begin slowly and then you build up that community. But every step, remember, it's not about you, it's about them.
Any other questions? All right. Yeah, I think we overshot our time as well anyway.
Okay.
I think you guys, anybody here or to present today can always reach out to us or to Bhargav directly if you have any other questions in the future. We'll always be willing to get back to you. And yeah, thank you again. That was a really informative session. I think all of us learned a lot.
I hope I've not bored people. I hope people have not swiped right on me because of not many stories that I've given. I hope just get your timing right, guys, and just try to get that nice balance and get your timing right, and surfing is your next sport.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bhargav.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
So
Stay
much.
safe.
Stay safe, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.